Hi, I'm author Annabelle, and I'm here to tell you about my latest book, The Bucket List to Mend a Broken Heart, which is the story of Abby, who has been recently dumped by her boyfriend Joseph, and she'll stop at nothing to get him back. She decides that she's going to do his bucket list and post photos of her doing it on Facebook in a bid to win him back and show him how compatible they actually are. The only problem is the bucket list contains things that absolutely terrify Abby, who's a bit of a couch potato. So it makes her do things like learn to windsurf, cycle around the Isle of Wight, and abseil down the Spinnaker Tower, which is the stuff of her nightmares as she's scared of heights. Now, the idea actually came to me from my own life, as when I was sort of 21 and at university, and I was a bit heartbroken. My mum suggested to me that the best thing to do was to book a holiday. So she said, why don't you go to Peru, which is a very sort of my mother-like thing to say. And sort of after my finals, I went on a plane and ended up in Lima. And actually just went off by myself and went travelling. And whilst I was there, I had quite a lot of time to sort of think, and I used to do these sort of crazy things, like I went down the most dangerous road in Bolivia on a mountain bike, which was probably like the worst thing I've ever done in my life, but I did it because my ex-boyfriend at the time had been a big cyclist, and I thought, oh, this would be a really great thing to be able to say to him, I've done this. And I used to have these sort of hypothetical conversations like, oh yeah, he's going to be really, really impressed with this. So after Peru, I ended up in Asia, and I was sort of going around to Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand, and I sort of learned to dive, and I went caving, and went on all these sort of jungle hikes by myself, and all the way around I was thinking, oh yeah, he's going to be really, really impressed with all these things that I've done. And in the end, I never actually told him about any of it, and I don't think I even spoke to him for years later. But it was a really good thing for me to have done, because it actually showed me what I was capable of, because had I not have had that sort of thought process in my head, then I probably would have spent most of my time travelling just sort of sitting drinking beer and cocktails in nice places and not actually sort of challenging myself to do things which I would have hated. So I think the power of a bucket list for me is about how it can sort of change your perceptions and really challenge you to sort of get to know yourself and to see what you're actually capable of, which I think is often a whole lot more. So for me, a bucket list is always quite a special thing, because after sort of doing that travelling stint, I then went on to get a proper job, and I sort of had other things on my bucket list, to buy a flat, to write a novel, and then one sort of final travelling bit that I did have on my list was to go to Nepal, and to sort of hike around Everest Base Camp, which I did after being told to do it by a tarot card reader, which is a whole other story. But when I went to Nepal, I actually met my husband, and he was also trekking, and now we have a very nice life, and we live in France, which was one of our sort of joint bucket list adventures, was to buy a house and renovate it and live out there, which we do. So for me, sort of a bucket list is a really sort of positive experience, and it was a perfect topic for a book, because when you're sort of at your lowest point, like Abby is in the book, when you have been sort of dumped and you're feeling low, you really do sometimes need something to focus on to pull you out of that sort of darkness or sort of depression. And a bucket list is perfect, because it's the kind of things that you aspire to do, but wouldn't necessarily do it in your everyday life. So I think it's a great topic for a book. And it's great for Abby because it's so out of her comfort zone. So the learning to windsurf, she lives in Portsmouth, so the sea's freezing cold, and it's not, I have actually done that course in Portsmouth, and it is horrible. When it is a cold sort of April miserable day, and you're getting on a sort of a wet wetsuit, and you're going into the sea, which, you're not sort of somewhere fancy in the Med. So I can sort of empathise with Abby as to why she didn't want to do it. But a bit like me, she sort of rallied and she did it, and I think she probably surprised herself. And that's really what the book is about. It's about sort of looking at your life and sort of changing what you do, and then sort of where it leads her. And as she sort of posts her Facebook pictures of what she's doing, in a bid to win her ex-boyfriend back, it's basically, will she succeed? And I think you'll have to read the book to find out.